Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me. I am so glad you're here, and I just want to say that this is a really good topic. This is really important. We're going to be talking about living paycheck to paycheck, and I really want you to know that when we are talking about this, that you are not alone. This is not something that a specific group faces, a specific part of the country. None of that. This is something that can impact anybody, okay? Especially in our current financial environment. So I'm really glad you're here, and let's go ahead and jump in and get started. So, like I said, this impacts anybody. I know I've been there. I have had to struggle in my past where, I just did not have enough money coming in. And so that is why we were here. Okay. It's a lot of stress and wondering if your money will stretch until the end of the week, especially when you have little ones depending on you. But the good news is we're going to take care of that, give you some ways to handle it. We really want to make sure that we remove that aspect of guilt from what is going on. This is not about like you've messed up or it's not a life sentence, something that you can't break free of, but this is about hope. This is about living a new way. Living paycheck to paycheck, it's a cycle. And because it is a cycle, it can be broken. All right. So let's dive on in. Now, before we get started, the first thing I want to do is I do want to define what we're talking about when we say we're living paycheck to paycheck. So this means that all of our income is going to monthly living expenses, such as rent, utilities, groceries, with little or no money left over for savings or any unexpected cost. This situation creates financial stress and it makes it difficult. It is difficult to manage for emergencies. It's difficult to build any wealth. Now, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, that means that you need that paycheck. Um, you need that paycheck to pay any of your upcoming expenses and to meet your financial obligations. If you are not employed, then you cannot pay for any of these things. There is no emergency savings left to take and help out with those. Basically, all of your paycheck is going to cover the necessary expenses. So how do we get stuck in this cycle? And why does it happen? It's usually not because we're careless or bad with money. Often it's just because bills come in that are higher than we expect them to be. As we all know, groceries and stuff cost a lot more than they did before. And there's the desire to give our kids something, give them a better life, to do something for them. We just faced a going back to school, and that's always a lot of expense right in there to help pay for all of that, to help pay for the expenses of our children. And these can be unexpected and they can be higher than we had planned for, and that's going to create one of these problems. What's interesting is this does not affect a particular group or sector, but anyone from low income up to high earnings, all of these groups can be affected by this. It's very interesting that I found out that 65%, in fact, this was a report done back in 2024, that 65% of Americans reported living paycheck to paycheck. That's an increase of 7% over 2023. Now, this means they are not able to save and they have to work to fund their lifestyle. Now, there's different solutions in all of this based on where you are in this scenario. So if you are somebody that, if you're considered a high earner, then that just means cutting back. Let's face it, they give up some lattes, stop some shopping, and they're good, right? But that is not true when it comes to those living on a limited income. And those living on a limited income, they just don't have that money. Income and everything is just too tight. So what they have is just not enough to put it away. But what we're going to do and focus on is we're going to try to see if we can come up with those little ways. Is there little areas where they can save, where we can save and find those little places? Now, salaries have not increased to keep up with the rising cost of living, and that is what's put 65% of Americans in this predicament. Now, because of that, what happens? Personal debt, so credit cards, student loans, we're talking about this is the consumer debt. It's all of it is on the rise. In addition, childcare costs are going up. So limited income, caring for a family just puts it into a bad scenario. and tends to increase that number of the number of people that are living paycheck to paycheck. So a recent statistic found that there is $17.5 trillion in US consumer debt. And that is up 2.5% just from 2023 to 2024. And of that $17.5 trillion in consumer debt, the amount of credit card debt increased by 8.6%. Crazy, right? Mainly, again, this is not because you're overspending, overbuying. This is not because you just don't know what you're doing. This isn't because you don't know that you have to pay these necessary expenses. It's because you're just not making enough to cover what you need to pay for. But again, it's a cycle, and cycles are built on habits. So we have a few steps to do for you to do that you can try to put into place to try to find some more breathing room in your budget. The first thing we're going to do to put some breathing room, one of these first small steps, is to know where your money is going. Observe your spending. Now, we're not talking about going down to the last penny. Of course, if you are one of the analytical people out there that just really loves to know where everything is going, go to the penny. But we're not talking about that perfect budget. Now, if you are in this situation where you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're dealing with all of this stress in your life, then you've got enough going on. So try to create a budget and basically know where your money is going. Know if you're paying, do you have a subscription that you forgot about? That would be wonderful. You cancel that and immediately you have more money every month, right? So know where the money is going. Write it down. Use a simple pen and paper, use a free app. This isn't something that should have to cost you any money. It's just about being aware of what's coming in and what's going out. And the number one thing that you can do to take care of yourself financially is this right here. The simple step of knowing what's coming in and what's going out. That is the number one. If you do nothing else in your life but that one step, that's huge because you discover, look, where all the expenses are going. And usually, it may give you some insight into areas maybe you need some more help with, or it can help you with step number 2, and that's find one tiny leak. Maybe it's just $5 a month here, there. And what I want you to do with that is you redirect that $5, put it in a jar, an emergency savings jar, stick it in an envelope, like a little, hey, I'm just going to set this aside for emergencies. But put this money away. And then you're going to start to build an emergency cushion to prepare you for the future. So the step number 3. So first of all, be observant, or be aware of where your money is going. Find one tiny leak and discover where you can get maybe $5 a week, $5 a month, and then begin your emergency cushion. Even if you only have 25, if you have $50 set aside, that would be wonderful, wonderful to handle any kind of upcoming emergency that may happen. And why do we say that emergency funds are better than debt? Well, you've already got the credit cards. If you have credit card debt, they're there, they're existing, you're making their payments, right? And we don't want them to go up. Well, if you have an emergency, say you get a nail in your tire, if your child gets sick and or yourself, and you have to go, get some medicine at the store, you have $25, $50, whatever you've set aside to cover that expense. And now you're not having to pay interest on it because you put it on your credit card. Okay. So having that emergency fund is going to help you stay out of debt and help you avoid paying extra interest and fees to a credit card company. So in the long run, that does save you. And that's why we do recommend starting that emergency fund. Okay, so now we've got the 3 steps. We're going to budget, we're going to find a tiny leak, and then we're going to start that emergency cushion. But there's another side of this. So that is an awareness of where everything is going. But we also have to build in habits. And a habit is just something that we start doing and it becomes part of our life. Our habits that become so entrenched in us almost become automatic. So hopefully some of these become a little bit automatic for you. I know they really help me, especially this first one. So habits that actually stick. And the first one is the sleep on it rule. Wait 24 hours before spending on anything that isn't urgent. And we say not urgent, what we're talking about are those non-essentials. Now, this helps you to avoid those impulse buys. Anything that you don't have on your list. Every one of those little purchases like that, though, they do add up. It can be really hard to go into the store and say, this is my shopping list, and this is what I need to do. And that's all that I can do. I can't do anything else, right? Our sleep on it rule says wait 24 hours before buying anything. And the reason for this is I know myself, I've seen stuff and been like, oh my goodness, I'm going to get this, right? And we're not talking just about groceries. It could be something for myself, for my husband, for my kids. And there are times where I will go home and I'm like, nope, I'm going to sleep on it. I'm going to wait. I'm not going to just do it. And Amazon makes this tough, right? You know, we go to the grocery store. Walmart is great. They have everything in that store, right? So it can be tough to be like, no, I'm just going to get it. It's $10, it's $5. I'm just going to get it. But so many times when I have waited, so many times when I've slept on it, I've either found something already that I had that I could use. I've realized that I really don't need it, or I found the resource in some other way. There's um, friends that are giving things away, or maybe I went onto Facebook and found, hey, this is the thing that I was going to pay full price for. Somebody's selling it for half price or even less, right? My daughter-in-law has this great hack. She goes onto Facebook and she's part of a swap. So she swaps baby clothes with other moms. So free baby clothes. That is a huge expense that she is not having to pay for. So that is wonderful. She's very savvy and very good with this. But the sleep on it rule is great because after that 24 hours, what it does is it breaks the emotional pull to spend that money. So, all right, let's be honest. How many of us have gone to the store and had an emotional desire to buy something for a family member because we love them. We see something and we go, gosh, they would really love it. Okay, I'm gonna raise my hand. I have definitely done this. Um, so there's an emotional pull on this. Sometimes it's I want to be giving and I want to do this for somebody in my family because it would be really nice and they're really deserving. They've done a lot of really good things and maybe this is something that I'm seeing that I can do with them. Okay. So, as wonderful as that is, when that money is not in our budget, we need to wait and sleep on it. So, the second habit is our weekly money check in. So, this is one day a week. Take about 10 minutes and just sit down with you and your notebook and look at your expenses. What did you spend this week? And this can be very eye-opening. Now, just grab any little notebook, take it with you. It can be just a composition book. It can be those little spiral little notepads that you take with you, whatever works. It could be a note on your phone. It could just be looking at your bank account on your phone or your computer as well. Whatever it is, just sit down and look at your expenses. Look at your spreadsheet. What did you spend this week? See if there's anything that's surprising. The other thing is, everything varies. Some weeks groceries are just seem to cost a lot more than other weeks, right? Some weeks I will go and like everything I want to buy seems to be on sale, which is so wonderful. And then the next week, nothing that I want is on sale or that I need to buy for my family. So what I would recommend is when you write this down, it's going to help you see those trends. It's going to help you see that you have $200 set aside for groceries for your family and you've already spent $100. So now you've just got to be a little more careful. Now, when you go to the store, you need to make sure you purchase those items that cost less to make sure that your money will last until you get paid one more time, right? Um, and then the last habit, and this is huge, and I find that a lot of people fail to do this because they're looking for these big wins, right? They're looking for when they have, $100 or $1,000 in their emergency fund. They're looking till they have all their debts paid off. Well, those are wonderful goals, and you should have those. But those are going to be your big goals, and you're going to have a little bit of objectives along the way. And when you hit one of these, you need to celebrate. Now, we're talking about finances. We're talking about, trying to break that paycheck to paycheck. So we definitely want to celebrate. Maybe it's free, maybe it's taking a walk, maybe it's enjoying some time, together, just alone with all the family, going to the park. Maybe there's a free event. It's fall. There's a ton of free events in most communities this time of year. It's wonderful, and the temperatures are better. Um, but celebrate it. If you found $10 this week that you were able to save, that's awesome. Celebrate. Clap yourself on the back. Make sure that you notice all those efforts that you've done. If you've never set up a budget before and you can manage to set up a budget and observe what's coming in and out of your bank account for a month, awesome. If you can do it for a week, that's even better. Just do it for a week, start, then a month. Set those little goals and celebrate every little one, because every step that you make, every one of these habits that you create and that you build upon is going to put you that much closer to achieving your financial goal. So, what I'd like you to do is to think about what would happen if you put these into place, okay? We're talking about doing small, consistent steps. And these small, consistent steps show that things are going to start to change. Now, I've seen moms that save $100 in 2 months and thought they could not save anything. I've seen families that are able to stop borrowing. No more payday lenders. They are able to pay their expenses just with what they are making on their own. It's amazing. I am so excited when these people, these families, these moms, and they do these incredible things. They build these cushions for themselves, and they don't think it's possible. And they're like, until they believe, I'm gonna do it, and they celebrate that progress, right? So imagine that you, with money set aside, not panicking over a flat tire, needing to buy diapers, just having the financial freedom and having the hope. I will tell you, it starts small and it starts today. All right. So I just want to cover again those 3 steps, the 3 steps to put into place to stop the living paycheck to paycheck cycle. The first one is to know where your money is going. Observe what goes in, observe what goes out. Observing what goes in is being aware of, wow, I make this much, but after taxes, it is only this much, right? So that's important to know what comes in, and it's important to know what goes out, especially if you're not the only one who's managing the account, right? Find one tiny leak. Find $5 and put that $5 aside, put it in a jar, put it in an envelope, save it, and use it to build on number 3, begin an emergency savings, because that emergency savings means that you do not have to dip into your credit cards and you're able to stay out of debt. Remember, it is not about perfection. It's about progress. Let your next paycheck be the first one where you start moving forward instead of falling behind. Now, I also want to tell you, it's about asking for help when you need it and looking for support from your community. It doesn't mean that you've messed up or that you've done something wrong, but instead it's just being aware of your situation and trying to take the steps necessary to provide for your family. If your budget is tight and you're having trouble, go pick up a bag of groceries. You know, go take that step, take the route, make a circuit, get some groceries, and use that to help make a little cushion into your lifestyle. Maybe that's where you get your $5 or $10 that you can put aside for your emergencies, right? So here is my challenge for you. Pick one small step. There's 3, right? We gave you 3. There's being observant, there's discovering the leak, and then there's building your emergency savings. And that's all, those are great steps, and we need to do all 3. But my challenge for you today is pick just one step, okay? Because again, we want to start small. We don't want to sit here and try to tackle everything at once, because it just makes it too hard and too overwhelming. So pick one small step, okay? And then maybe it's just writing down everything that you spend for a week. Maybe it's the saving $5, but just pick one and start with that. And I want you to do that because every little win matters. And you are absolutely capable of this. Okay. I know that you can do it. All right. Well, thank you. That is what I have in my presentation. And now that I would like to open it up for questions. All right. Let's see what's come in here through the chat. All right. So, what do you do if you just can't seem to find anything left over in your paycheck? I get it. I get it. Like I said, I have been there. I have been where I've been struggling. I have been where the money just came in and it was not enough to help. But look at your community. Look at the community benefits that are out there. Take advantage of going to the food pantries, apply for assistance. I know it takes a lot of time, and if you're working and taking care of your family, especially if you do have little ones at home, I'm sure you're wiped out at the end of the day. I know some days I'm just tired, and after dinner, I'm like, that's it, I'm done. My brain is tired. I can't do anything else. Okay. I understand that. I really, really do. But try to do one small step. Okay. So again, take one little step. And maybe that one step is what community resources are out there. There is a great website called findhelp.org. And we will put those in the show notes. So findhelp.org is a great resource. I encourage you to go there. You put in your zip code and it shows you all kind of resources that are available, from housing resources, food pantries, and different kind of resources for you. So definitely check that out. They're based on, if you have a disability, if you are elderly, they really break it down by all of those groups. So check that out, findhelp.org, and we'll put that one in the show notes. All right, so you do all three steps at once or take them one at a time. All right, so if you've got the time and you think you're ready, dive in. So I would say that if that's what you would like to do, then go for it, right? Charge right on in, blast in there and try all three steps. However, that's a little overwhelming. That would be overwhelming for me. I would need to start with maybe one or two. So I would say maybe track where your money is going and see if you can find that leak. So look at what everything is going, see what money's coming in and what coming is going out. And I would say pair that step with a habit of once a week doing a money check-in. If you do that and you do that consistently for a month, you're going to start to find, hey, here's $5 that we can do something with. And then I would definitely put that aside. Put it somewhere where you're not going to spend it. All right, so don't try to do, all three steps, all three habits at once. Maybe pair a step with a habit and take that in stride so you're not really overwhelming yourself. Well, it has been such a joy to be with you today. Thank you guys so much for joining. Take care, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. God bless.